For our scripture text, please open with me on the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verses 10 to 31. Hi, Jen. Good morning. Or good evening pala sa'yo, Jen. Okay, Proverbs 31, verses 10 to 31, which says, verse 10 ganit, a wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ship bringing her food from the altar, bringing food from afar. She gets up while it is dark. She provides food for her family and portions for her servant girls. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out of light. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor. She extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet and makes coverings for her head. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the reward she has earned, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. This is the word of the Lord. Once again, my dear mothers, happy Mother's Day to one and all. Happy Mother's Day, and I hope that you have greeted and hugged your mothers today. As I have mentioned earlier in the vlog, as I was starting her here, I said, if you have not yet hugged or kissed your mom, do it now. Enjoy them while they last. Right? Because time will come, you cannot do that anymore. Today, as I was thinking of what to share, and as I was browsing my notes, I found this message that I shared way back in 2013, I think, if my memory is right. Yeah, 2013. Back then we talked about what are the characteristics of a good mother. And I don't know if you can still remember the characteristics or the valuable things that we should consider for our wives or mothers. So let us refresh our memories with Proverbs chapter 31 verses 10 to 13. The first thing that a valuable wife or mother, a wife or mother possesses is that she is valuable. Right? She is valuable. There are many things that a single person can do for God, right? Which a married lady cannot do. Agree or disagree? I'm sure si Manang gatulog-tunog, hindi nga agree. Right? Because we also have a saying here in the Philippines that says, a single woman has actually more kids than the married one. Agree? Because when single ka, all your nieces and nephews come to you. Right? And the mothers would just be limited to her own kids. No. But of course, in our culture here in the Philippines, sararama ka sa Ginoo, no? Right? And last night we were talking with our batchmates in elementary, and one of the topics that we mentioned was there are a lot of ladies, and it is not acceptable in our generation or in our society that they prefer to be a mother without a husband. They just wanted to have kids, but they don't want a husband. Right? And we were all unanimous in saying that, well, what would you do with a husband if you do not know, if you cannot take care of him? Or what would you do with a husband who does not take care of his wife? Right? And so we said, well, those ladies are respectable, but way back then, those ladies are detestable. Right? The same thing with the guys. There are a lot of guys now who just wanted to have kids but do not want to have a wife. Right? But anyway, those are some of the things that are happening in our society that we have learned to accept because of the changes of times and individual convictions. But the bottom line there would be, how do we perform our roles as such? But if you would be married, then be the best wife. Also, last night, I will be quoting a lot of your words today, Gigi. One of our batchmates also said, her husband is very lucky because she is a Filipina and a God-fearing one at that. Because she said, no couple is perfect. Every relationship, there's always a flaw, but she said she is very lucky. He is very lucky for me because, number one, I fear God. And I have learned that life is short. Life is short. And so, for the past few years, I do not focus on the negatives. I do not get angry with him anymore. I do not get angry with little things anymore. But I chose to stay on the positive side. Because I don't want to have wrinkles. So, tinawa na mga kami tanan. You know? But, yeah. Life is short. And that Proverbs 31 would remind us that marriage is an honorable relationship between a man and a woman. Marriage is an honorable thing between a man and a woman. Okay? But of course, in the Bible, we can also see in many places wherein it is honoring single people. In verses 10 to 12, we can find there the first quality that we would look for, or we should treat a woman. There we could see that she has earned her husband's respect. Earned her husband's respect by working with him. Working with him instead of against him. Working with him instead of against him. Hi, Beth. Good morning. Okay. Many times nowadays, we have what we call under-desire. No? Under-desire. But I don't know, where did the under-desire term come from? I had been searching for that one, but I could not find the answer. No, but here, Proverbs 31 verses 10 to 12 reminds us that she earned her husband's respect by working with him hand in hand. Right from the beginning, we are also told that the women were what? Created from the rib of the man. The women was not taken from the sole of the foot, from the external parts of the hands, or from the parts of the skull of the man, but sa ribs, in the middle, to be equal. Right? Therefore, women should not be stepped on, women should not be slapped on, and women should not be above their husbands. Special mention sa muna, no? Kay Damo na galantaw.
And the woman was, the will of the man was taken from the left side.
Left side. Sa heart. Yes. I don't know if Manang AJ and Manay Angga would agree with me, but I heard somebody mentioned before that if you would look at the skeletal system of the men, on the left part, something like that, there is a missing rib. Kulang sa isa ka rib.
Yeah. Then, none.
Ah, okay. Oo. Gamay-gamay sa dalawang. Yeah. Kagdag pa rin nito akong balahibo. Yeah, that's, I heard people say that the ribs of the guys are lacking. And so, maybe we could relate, or we could connect that with biblical truth that God pulled out one part of the rib and made it into a woman. May basis. Diba? No? So, but don't get me wrong, mga friends. I am not against the thing. You know, we respect that. Okay, we respect that. But what we are saying is on the biblical perspective. Okay, so kabayan, hindi nyo ko pag-unfriend, ha? Okay? Now, so here, we also have an example to follow. And if we connect it, because you know, today we are facing with election, right? There are a lot of women running for position, no? From top to bottom. Again, I am not campaigning. Okay, I am not campaigning. Okay, but the point there is that how do we do our roles, or not do we? How do you, women, do your roles as such? So here, 10 verses 10 to 12 would tell us that women are created to be equal, no? To be equal footing to the men, and that women are supposed to assist men. Women are supposed to assist the men in everything that they do. But, of course, on the positive side, not assist men on everything that they do, even though you know that it is negative. Illegal. Right? Because, yeah, we have a lot, sa news, we have a lot of women who would say, because my husband is blah, 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 so I have to support him. Right? No? Or husbands would say, asawa talang ka, so you have to support me, you have to do this, blah, blah, blah. Right? So, you know, these are very debatable things. But we believe that we have already been taught the basics in the scriptures. Okay. So your goal, women, is to build, provide for, and maintain a godly family. And mind you, ladies, you can be a valuable wife if you work with your husband to reach that goal. You would be a valuable wife if you work with your husband to work for that goal, to reach that goal. That's why last night during our mini reunion with our batchmates, we said that it is indeed difficult, very difficult time for women these days. Now, because values are changing. Tama? And because of that, it would lead us to the next, which is mothers or women are vigorous workers. They are vigorous workers. She works hard at home. Tama? What is, if I would ask you, what is the most difficult occupation? What is the most difficult occupation? Yes, correct. Being a mom. Being a mom. Correct. All around. Gratis pa. Diba? Gratis pa. She works at home. And we could read that on verses 15 and 27. She works day and night, not complaining. Mothers before are not complaining, but mothers now are very complainful. Right? No? Mothers before, no? Ano, Mother Rose, di ba no? Si nanay mo sa una, may reklamo, no? Subong lang? Correct. Right? But mothers now, most of the mothers now are naggers. I don't know. Because? Oh, they're also working. Multitaskers ang mothers.
Stress na sila sa obra nila.
Sa balay. Correct. No?
Or vice versa.
Correct. That is why when nanay was still alive, when mom was still alive, this is one thing that Jay would always reprimand me. Okay, many times nanay would go into the room I am sleeping and she would lie beside me. Magkukup. Sige na, sikol ko na siya. And I would tell her, Mom, kaligo to anay. Kung hindi ka maligo, hindi ka magkukup. Or, you know, she would call for my attention, but I would ignore her. And then Jay would always scold me, ara ka naman. Gapangga si Lula, si mo, ginapan mo naman. You know, so akiga naman muna ni Jay. You know, and then when nanay was already bedridden, again, he would always tell me, merisay mo na. Kisang una gapangga si Lula sa imo, kinasnap mo, subong, kuha ni Lula, tanan mo nga atensyon. You know? So, he would always scold me about that. So the bottom line, my dear friends, is that while your moms are still up and able, no, hindi sila pagsipaa. No? Don't kick them or push them around because time will come, no matter how hard you cry, you cannot hug them anymore. Yeah, okay. Break it to me gently. Speaking of that one,
so I guess, ang kwanta is what the brother na may sensitive sila. Pero, binigla na yun, kung meron mo na kayo pinakapakuyan, sa hindi ka pagkain sa taon.
No.
So service.
Correct. Now, it reminds me with that one. It reminds me of that one. Mothers have this loving way of rebuking it to me gently. Right? Because
positive way of how to, remind them to hindi man sila masaktan ba?
correct.
Pero to them, frequent.
The frequency.
Yeah, the frequent you remind them, the Peter,
Yes. Because yes. But because, okay, let me also warn our mothers connecting with those two thoughts, no? Breaking it gently and the choice of words. Right? The choice of words, that's why I said mothers nowadays becomes a nagger because the kind of words that we use are not gentle anymore. No? The kinds of words that we use are not loving anymore because of so many reasons. Right?
And one
So,
of the reasons is, I should say, how the child also talks back.
Yes, okay.
They talk back to the mother, but in a manner na hindi
I will make an end on that, no, because we will be debating on our topic later on. No? Okay. Yeah, because a soft answer turneth away wrath.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to our next point before we flow away Okay? Before we are swayed away, for you dear friends on Facebook, feel free to share your opinions as well. Okay? So she works hard at home and she also works hard on the job. Right? That's why we cannot also blame our mothers if sometimes they would mention or they would utter hurtful words. Because human as they are, they're also tired. Right? And Manang AG earlier, we were talking, and she mentioned that she had a little argument with her helper, and then later on, to make the long story short, they both asked for forgiveness from each other. Okay? Which is very nice. Right? But nowadays, this has been an excuse by many women because they would say, I am your mom, I work hard for you, blah, 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 and you are not supposed to answer me back. Right? Wherein sometimes it also hurts the child. And how we work, how we handle things would also call on how we as Christians are. Yes, nowadays, women are, maybe we can say women are, this is not exactly the one that we had years back. So medyo relate na lang to the times. Okay? Nowadays, we cannot blame women who become risky compared to men. We cannot blame women who are going outside compared to men, because in a way it is easier for them to go out the country. It's easier to find jobs for women outside the country compared to men. You know? Or sometimes it's also easier for women, if I may say, to get higher positions, because women, as we have said earlier, they have this special skill, or not say special, they have their innate quality of being soft in handling matters. Right? There is this innate capacity for women to look at things in a more loving way compared to men. Agree, Uncle Vets? I-mute ko lang, anay. Hindi siya ka-disagree kay Norm. Mas nasipahan siya na din. Peace! Joke! Oh my God! You know, so, you know, there are a lot of things that sometimes we could just laugh at it, but we could also learn from it. So we would praise our mothers who works hard at home and works hard on the job. Right? Because verses 15 and 27, 18 and 24 would tell us that how hard a woman worked during those times. She would work in the house. She would work as a merchant. She would sell things for the merchants. She would go an extra mile for her family. And yet, she would not complain. And then, another quality of mothers, when she shops, she is a wise spender. Hindi siya koripot. I remember, I did not use the word koripot, but wise spender. Kamu pala? You have your own way of looking for wonderful words, and I love you ladies for that. You know, wise spender. Right? When she shops, she knows exactly how to get the best value for her money. Diba? The best price for her money. And we could see that in verses 13 to 16. Right? But of course, never mind the negative ones, kay karon madidig naman kita sa aton nga topic ko. You know, so nowadays, women or mothers are really having a hard time. And don't tell me that, well, the pressure now is different than the pressure before. Yes, the situation now is technologically different compared to the days of our parents or great-grandparents, and their generation is extremely far from the situation or the culture of the ones in the Bible. Right? But yet, the extent of the difficulty is still the same. They do not have cars way back in the Bible. Our 20 years ago, or not 20 years ago, 50 years ago, there is no internet yet. There are no gadgets yet. Now there is, but how they face it before, now, and in the future would exactly be the same. The pressure would still be the same. Yes, correct. Bullseye pa rin. Because they still have to work and work. Kayod kalabaw, gihapon ang mga mothers. When they buy something, they also need to buy the best gihapon. Right? So the ideal woman is, number one, a valuable wife, a vigorous worker. A vigorous worker. I remember when we were small, Nanay would wake up very early, and then she would have 5 mugs on the table with our names on it. It would also have 5 plates. Nakaset na siya. It's not buffet. It's naka-plated na siya. And then when we wake up, she is not there anymore. Ato na siya sa convention. When she comes home for lunch, she would know who did not eat. Kay bilin ang iyang baso. Even ang noodles, this is how meticulous she is. Ang noodles before na balang na may mga shapes, kag letters, yeah, she would count them one by one. Exactly, she would count them one by one. Equal kami ng 5. Amo na siya kauti. So, hindi kami na magalaway kaya exactly the same gina siya. No? So, that is how meticulous she is.
And in relation with that, I remember my sisters were telling me before, or even my mother, na there were times na isa lang dito sa manok namin, inuulo lang sa ulan. Kami mo pinag-divide na inanay. Pero you know what? Wala siya gagamit isang kutsilyo. Pero, ang ilo.
Oo. Okay, equal siya.
I imagine that I do not know that. Pero equal na siya. Kung wala isang labo na parang
Food.
yes.
Okay. That's a nice one.
Pero ito na sila, for me, for Duday, for me, for Toto, okay, wala exempted. Ang kay Duday ka ng abot mo.
Yeah. No, so that's how tedious a mother's work is. And lastly, a woman is a virtuous woman. A virtuous woman. Our society places a lot of emphasis on how a woman should look. But there's more to the ideal woman than her looks. Right? Looks is good, but the inner quality is, or the inner personality is far better. In verse 20, we can see there that it describes the compassion a mother has. How compassionate a mother should have. In verse 25, it describes the character that she has. In verse 26, it describes the counsel that she gives. What kind of counsel? But nowadays, I remember sa news sometime last week, there was a mother who sold her child. I think the child was like 5 years old or lower than that. And then, a few months or a few years after, nakamarasma siya siguro, she wants to take back her child. And so, the person who bought the child said, I won't give it back to you. You sold it already to me. I treated your child as my own. You know, and the mother said, I regretted it. I blah, 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 you know. So the case went to the DSWD. And for sure, the trauma was for the child. So we can see that many practices of the women now, or mothers now to be specific, is not according to how Proverbs would depict an ideal mother. And maybe this is a challenge for us in this new generation. Mothers, how do you do? Mothers, how are you? Mothers, where are you? Right? Mothers, where are you? I don't know if Panot and Makmak, I know you are looking for, I know you are looking as if I am not looking, you know. Okay? In your relationships, kasi hindi na ako magamba kay Apple Vito, kasi si Apple Vito dugi-dugi may apo na saya. No? May apo na gani, sorry, wrong grammar. May apo na gani. So, he has found a part of his rib. For the young ones like us, right? What kind of mother, what kind of woman are you looking for? Right? We could also hear some guys would say, well, when I look, I want my wife to be like my mom. And that is so, diba? For the moms, to hear that one would be so cloud nine. Right? Ano ba na? Ano na, Helen? Agree ka man? May ipakilala na si Panot na? Yeah! Hindi, approve? Ngayon hindi pa po sa mga sinang Helen. Buti ang mamangkot ko sa imo. Approve. Ikaw, Presi. Magipakilala ng mga soltiro. Oo, magipakilala ng soltiro mo. Kaduhana. Oh. Okay. Na, makmak, kamati. Pwede bilaban mo sa akon, may pakilala liwat, tanoon mo na simbahan, kaya ipakilala mo sa akon. Why na to? Why na to? Nanuman. Di ba si Johan, skin pakilala, yan din sa nagligan ng Domingo. Imo ba, sa naman talon di? Wala pa o kung wala na? Si Makmak. Sa naman doon, si Kwan mo. Alright.
Joyo this morning.
Si Joyo na siya ano eh.
This morning, sila sa ako. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Denise, Marida, Selena. Sila ko, thank you, pero I'm not a mother.
Hello, Mami Ruthie. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day, Mother. Okay. Yeah. No? So, yeah. This is the challenge for the guys. No? That when you choose your wives to be, no, when you choose your wives to be, choose the one who would respect your mom. Right? Choose the one who would respect your mom. Because if the woman cannot even respect your mom, then congratulations, kid. Right? For sure, si Jen, hindi na siya problema sa iyang dalaga. Kay Tichusi ang dalaga. Ano ganing ka? Wala. Panaya sa ako, mamaya. Yeah, pati na nga, no? So, as I would always say, jokingly, establish a good friendship first. Establish a good friendship first, and the rest will follow. Okay. So anyway, in closing, let me share a poem. I'm sure that you have heard this maybe, but I would just like to share this with you. There is a story when God created mothers. He was into his 6th day of overtime when an angel appeared and said, "You're doing a lot of fiddling around this one." The Lord replied, "Have you seen the specks on this order? She has to be completely washable, but not plastic. Have 180 movable parts, all replaceable. Run on black coffee and leftovers. Have a lap that disappears when she stands up. A kiss that can cure anything from a broken leg to a disappointing love affair. And 6 pairs of hands." The angel shook her head slowly and said, "6 pairs of hands? No way! It's not the hands that are causing the problem," said the Lord. "It's the 3 pairs of eyes that mothers have to have." Di ba ko? The angel shook her head with the 6 hands. 6 pairs of hands? The angel shook her head and said, "No way. No way. It's not the hands that are causing me problems," said the Lord. "It's the 3 pairs of eyes mothers have to have." 3 pairs of eyes. 1 pair that sees through the closed doors when she asks, "What are you kids doing there?" When she already knows. Matuod? Tuod na? Mga Iloy? "What are you doing there, kids?" Pero kabalo na siya kung gaano sila. Magpag pa. Paranoid lang. Right? She already knows. Another in the back of her head that sees Another one that is back on her head that sees what she shouldn't. Another one at the back of her head that sees things that she should not see. But what she needs to know. She do not see, but she needs to know. And of course, the ones in front that look at the child when he goofs up and say, I understand and I love you. I understand and I love you. Without so much uttering a word. Budlayna, I am close to creating something so close to myself. Already, I have one who heals herself when she is sick, can feed a family of 6 on 1 pound of hamburger, and get a 9-year-old to stand under a shower. Not only can she think, she can reason and compromise. Finally, the angel bent over and ran her finger across the cheek of the mother. There's a leak, she pronounced. I told you that you were trying to put too much into this model. That's not a leak, said the Lord. It's a tear. What is it for? Asked the angel. The Lord replied, it's for joy, sadness, disappointment, pain, loneliness, and pride. You are a genius, shouted the angel. With a sober look on his face, the Lord said, I did not put him there. I did not put him there. Happy Mother's Day. I love you.